Hi, I'm John with American Restoration and Construction. In the area we're currently living in, there's been a substantial wildfire, and that wildfire has displaced thousands of people and damaged thousands of buildings. And I've been asked several times to help them understand what to do after this incident. This incident is a couple 100,000 acres, and it's really devastating. It happened last week. So I thought I'd start with trying to explain what is the insurance policy, assuming you have insurance. So this is geared towards you're having insurance versus not having insurance. So I just wanted to explain briefly what is an insurance policy and what is an insurance company and what is an insurance adjuster and what is an insurance agent. Those are issues that are really fluent to me because that's what we do all day long is deal with those issues. So your contract is a policy. You pay the premium, and the insurance company has this thing called a policy that they enforce, which is nothing more than a contract. And inside of that contract, it's very specific on what is covered and what's not. So for instance, anything long-term leaking and seeping is excluded from the contract. Anything sudden and accidental, like a fire, is covered. So that's the majority of the policies in the area and in the United States. Then inside of that policy, there's things called coverages. And coverages are specific dollar amounts of money available for certain items. So for instance, your house or your business has got a policy limit, which is a coverage amount in the amount of, say, I'm just going to use round numbers, $200,000. So your insurance company will pay up to $200,000 to rebuild your structure. Then there's some additional coverages that are often available, such as code upgrades. So for instance, if that $200,000 house that you had didn't have a foundation and the building department is requiring you to put a foundation, that would be a code upgrade requirement. And they call them different things in your policy and the coverages. So for instance, you may have, it's called building code enforcement. That's one. There's several different names, but it's basically the same thing. If the building department requires you to do something and you didn't have it before, the insurance company will pay up to your policy limit for that code enforcement or that building code it's an endorsement in your policy. So that's what they usually call coverage A. Coverage A is your building. There's also the next coverage is called coverage B. Coverage B is your contents. So whatever you would do, you'd shake the house and whatever would fall out of the house, if you turned it upside down, would be viewed as being a contents item. So in that contents item, it has to be your property. It can't be property that somebody else is just storing it unless they're a family member. So there's some it gets somewhat complicated, but the bottom line is that there's coverage available called coverage B, and there's a policy limit on that. Then there's another coverage most policies have. It's called additional living expense or coverage C. In the business policy, it's also called business interruption insurance. So for instance, if your house is inhabitable, like most of these up the valley are not habitable, what are the people going to do? So they're going to have to continue making payments on their property if they have payments. And if they don't have payments, they're still going to have to go rent someplace else. And so your insurance is set up for you don't have to pay out of pocket for those additional expenses. And usually there's a endorsement, but there's usually a coverage, a dollar amount in your policy. So you got A, B, and C. Sometimes they throw a B before a C, which is an outbuilding. So if you have an outbuilding, a garage, a detached garage, that would be another part of your policy with another part of coverage on it. So I just wanted to mention that's the big picture. Then the person that you buy your insurance from is called an agent. And an agent is different than an adjuster. So the guy you call, say, hey, I need some coverage on my house up the San Am River, and he says it'll cost you $600 a month or $600 a year, and you pay your premiums, you get this policy. But then when you have a claim, he's no longer involved with it. He turns it over to the claims department. And in the claims department, it's something called an adjuster. So in this part of the country, we have very claim friendly. It's not argumentative. Most of the people that do claims here are very good people, and they really want to do the right thing. And there's are certain parts of the country where immediately everybody worries about it, but in this part of the country, usually, not always, but usually, is very claim friendly. There's another part of this is that what are you going to do after you've had your incident? And in the following videos, I'll explain the differences on how to handle coverage A, how to handle coverage B, how to handle coverage C, and how those all work together. But what's most important is you as the owner, you really are the boss, and the insurance company should work for you, and anybody that you hire works for you. It's not the insurance company hiring anyone. The insurance company is going to let you hire the folks and let you pay the folks, and they will reimburse you, or they will pay for that services through you. So for instance, if American Restoration brings out an RV and have you there for a year, they would pay you, and then you would pay American Restoration. And it's the same way if you have to have your site cleared off. So you have to hire someone to do it, or you do it yourself, but they would pay you, and then you would pay your contractor. Now there's such a thing as a mortgage holder, which we'll get into as another one of the videos. So just to let you know is that I'm not an insurance consultant. I'm just a general contractor that's been doing this for 30 years in the valley here. It's called the Willamette Valley, and we've had this horrible wildfire that's gone up and down, and we're just recovering from it slowly. And so it's usually families helping each other, insurance companies helping the families, the contractors helping all of us, and we're all working together to do the same thing, to try to make your world a little more manageable, but realize it's going to be very stressful and it's very complex. And so the ideal is to hire people and to participate with people that have done this before, or at least get someone to help you think through the